We're live. Hi everybody. Welcome to Why Do You Want to Lose Weight?
And what do you think gets in the way? So this one's going to be very interactive. This isn't I'm just watching a screen and I'm going to sit there. But we're going to do it all in the chat, right? So we're not going to, you don't have to be scared or hide or just get your keyboard out and be ready to chat away, because the more you're involved in this, the more you're going to be able to take things home and put into your life right away, right? So we want you to left with immediate actions that you can take.
Yeah.
So that this can really make a difference and an impact in your life.
And it will. So introduce yourself, just because.
So for those of you that don't know who I am,
your hair looks fabulous.
Thank you.
By the way.
Thank you. I'm Kate Austin. I'm a strategic intervention coach with my master's in neuro-linguistic programming. I won't go into any more.
Yeah.
Well, my whole thing. So together we have it's like a triangle. I deal with the mind, Paul deals with body, and together we deal with connection to self and others. But really a triangle is a full piece. It's not separate, right? And so we're going to go deeper into that, which is why so many people are really struggling with weight, is because you're viewing it as a separate entity. We're all one thing. The mind and body is one. So we're going to go deep into that, and it's something I'm very passionate and lit up about. But so that's enough about me. Let's go into Paul, and then I want to get in there because I want to get going.
Yes. Well, I'm Paul Green. I have my functional nutrition degree, and used to do years of fitness covers, but then also a little bit later my dad got sick with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and it put me on a completely different path of understanding chronic illness and heavy metals and neurodegeneration. And so that really woke me up to not wanting the rest of people I meet to experience that with their parents. And there's so many of these diseases are around our planet at the moment, whether it's Alzheimer's or dementia or ALS or diabetes and cancer. Now it'll be 1 in 2 people with cancer soon. So it's very important for us to have what we do make a difference, and that's why we're here and doing this together. And that's Kate started this company, Freedom Alchemists, a few years ago before COVID.
6 years ago.
Six?
Not quite few. Yeah.
And she brought me into it.
I dragged him in kicking and screaming, but now he loves that. All right. So I want to go. Let's get launching. So what I want for everyone to do is I want you to put in the comments why you want to lose weight. And so we'll chat a bit while that's happening, but yeah, put that in the comments there so that we know where you're at and why you want to lose weight.
You can also ask on Facebook. Here we go. There's some here. Right back at you. I'm going to make a co-host here.
I did it.
Okay.
Yeah. I did it. Okay. All right. So.
The chat's right under there. To
improve cholesterol, feel strong and healthy. Got diagnosed with osteoarthritis in the lower lumbar. To feel better, improve cholesterol, be healthier, fit into more clothing. Keep going. I'm going to hit to continue to a healthy weight.
We got some chats, some over here from also on Facebook and on YouTube.
Let's go down further.
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay. Let's stay over here without Zoom. All right. So
better mobility to feel good in old age. There you go.
So all of these are great and very, very much what is kind of what we normally think about when we release weight. But a lot of them are not connected to anything super tangible, right? Feeling good is like, compared to what, right? And to fit into clothes or a lot of people say, I want to release 30 pounds, right? What does that actually mean? It's just a number. We're not actually connected to what that is. But it's when you have released 30 pounds, what will that then give you? And that's what why we have to shift our language about all of this. Because if we are connected to what's available to us when we are no longer carrying that amount of weight around, that's when it becomes something that you lean in towards rather than avoid, right? So if you are connected to if I've released 30 pounds, that my joints won't hurt so much. It'll be easy to walk up and down stairs. I can run around with my children, my grandchildren. You know, what is the emotional connection of what releasing weight will do for you? And feel good, yeah, sure. We can feel good when we're eating ice cream. Doesn't mean it's necessarily gonna do good things for you, right? It's just a trigger response. So if we can dig a little deeper right now into your why, so those ones were wonderful and that's normal, but go deeper for me. Like, what does it actually mean for you to not be carrying around that weight?
Tina wants to be able to travel, do whatever she wants while aging, to be healthier, to stay active, healthier for joints. Yeah. And you'll notice we'll be saying release weight from here on out. We said lose in the ad, but that's just because
everyone's used to that.
If you lose something, you're going to go find it. So we refer to it as releasing. One of my teachers actually said, ask your body to release what it is no longer serving you, and I've done that, and it's a very powerful tool just to release.
And just the word release, right? Release feels like and it also feels final. When you release something, you know, there's a more finality to it rather than, I'm going to look for it because I lost it.
Yeah.
I lost it.
And then you end up finding
where
it.
is it? Where is it? I'm going to
Everyone
find
ends
it,
up finding
right?
it.
And so that's why people get on this hamster wheel of losing weight, finding again.
Yeah.
Maybe finding even more. So release is the one thing you can start saying today that's going to start shifting the way your body hangs on, right? I feel like I'm hiding behind my weight, and I want to find who I am without the weight. Yes.
That's beautiful.
We're going to go deep into that. But actually, I'm just going to say it right now. Often, we hold on to weight as a protective mechanism. And so, why we're a lot different actually, is we're going to look at what it is, why your body is wanting to hold on to weight. Now, our bodies are designed beautifully. They're designed to protect us. And if we are over here doing all this exercise and calorie restricting and all of these things, yes, it might work for a period of time, but if you haven't dealt with something that you needed to deal with, that is your body trying to protect you because there was a fear, there was a trauma, there was something that happened, and your body's trying to protect you. It doesn't matter what you do over here, your body's going to find it again because it's doing its job of protecting you. So we have to unravel what it's protecting you from and update the system so that it understands that actually holding on to this weight is creating a health issue. It is creating a bigger issue than whatever it is trying to protect you from. That's usually something that happened many years ago, right? So we'll get into that. I jumped. Right.
And you know, if you don't do something differently, you're going to keep getting the exact same result. And so many people, when they look at, especially releasing something like weight, you just keep trying to do the same thing over and over again, but you get the same result. And then this is one of those things that there's so much more to it. And you know, they've separated the mind and the body. Either you go to therapy and you work on, you know, what happened to you in the past,
or the problems,
or you go to a gym. But very rarely does somebody go, okay, this weight is emotional, or this weight is from some story I made up in the past about when someone called me a big fat turd or something. And they dragged it on our whole lives and keep living that over and over again, and the past is then in the future. And it's weight release really does take looking at a lot of these different things differently, which is
your language, the way you connect with others and yourself, and really looking at the things you're trying to avoid and actually see what's it, because this, we all create boogeymans out of all sorts of things in our world. And when we can look at it face on in a place that's, it's not as scary. Having the lights off are not scary when you're an adult when they were when you're a child, unless something's happened that makes having the lights off really scary, right? But all of these things can be addressed and looked at from a new, fresh perspective of who you are today, not the little boy or girl that it happened to in the past. So that's when you look at therapists over here working on the problem, or dietitian, nutritionists, personal trainers, all the things working over here, nobody's looking at the integration of, hey, it's a whole body approach and you can't have one without the other. It's totally connected. So if you're doing all the work with nutrition and body trainers and things like that, but not doing any of the work on what happens, or like why your body might be holding on to weight, then it doesn't matter how hard you work, it's going to come back. And if you do all the work on the problems, but you don't take care of your body, then that doesn't work either, right? So it's a full integrated approach on how to have it all. And you have to look at all aspects of it as an integrated approach, not as a separate thing, right? So you can't try and get your therapist to talk to your personal trainer and say, can you guys formulate a plan? It doesn't work, right? No. So this is a way of bringing it all together.
And that reminds me of, in our flagship program, the Alchemy Method, in our year-long program, we introduce the concept as the body is a garden, not a machine. And I feel like everything gets so separated. Like you go see someone for your thyroid, someone for your lungs, someone for this. And we treat the body, if something's wrong with it, they cut it out. They're treating it like a machine.
Well, they give you a petroleum medication, right?
To try to solve just the symptom, not the actual root cause. So when you start to look at your body as a garden, what does a garden need? Sunlight, it needs some water, some tilling, it needs rest. And it's a complete shift of how you nurture yourself that way. And if something goes wrong, you look first to things like sunlight, water, irrigation, like it might
the foundations of health. And you start there rather than let's add something chemical in to solve a problem when it's like we haven't looked at the root cause of it. If you want to heal a tree, you don't just hack away at it. You look to the roots, right? And so that's what's missing right now in so much medical science, the sick care system, is they're not looking at the roots. It's like let's just keep pruning the tree, or let's like spray some stuff on it because there's a bug right there, and like all of that sort of stuff. So we have to start looking from a whole perspective, right? And then the impossible, everything that seems impossible is totally possible under the right circumstances, right? And a great example of that is, the average woman can't just go and lift a car. Like it's just seems impossible, right? But how many times have we heard of all the stories of mothers that are able to lift a car if their child gets stuck under it? So she's able to do the impossible in that circumstance because the situation calls for it.
Well, she has a strong why.
She has a strong why.
It's not about how when it comes to a car. It's like the why. Her child's under it. So when you have a strong enough why, which is the whole point of our conversation today, is you can literally lift a car if there was somebody you loved under it. And so many people want to release weight or lose weight, but it's just like their why is too small. Or they're not really connected to it. They're like, oh, look, people will maybe like me more, or I will look better in jeans. Like, you have to create this, I will be able to play with my grandkids and with energy and wake up and be, like, you have to create this why for yourself. That's an engine of power.
And we want to address belief, right? So no one would believe that a woman could lift a car until that happened, right? And our beliefs are the things that get in the way of us having what we want. Now, I want to give you a couple of great examples. For starters, if a doctor tells you that you have 6 months to live, the reality is you'll probably only live that 6 months. Now, they could never know. There's no probable cause that could tell them they could know that. And every single person is completely different. But your belief in that doctor or in that diagnosis will create that. Our mind is that powerful. Now, if we talk about beliefs connected to maybe habits, right? So let's say you want to release weight, and that releasing that weight is going to give you more confidence and more energy and more, more opportunities for work and things like this, right? Yet your connection to love is mom gave me cakes and cookies when I was a good girl, or we lived in the South and we ate a lot of fried food, and that was when we sat down as a family. So that is love. So therefore I can't have confidence and love at the same time, because we have connected the belief of love because it came from, we got treated with food or with treats. And when I eat cake and candy or cookies or whatever it is that might be your Achilles heel, I have a feeling of love because that's how mom loved me or grandma loved me or whatever it is, right? So we have to unravel these beliefs, because then we're going to believe in order to be confident and have what I want, I have to give up love. So we call that living a but life instead of an and life.
We have a really great story about that. I don't know if this is the place to share it though. But...
No, let's not go there. It'll take up too much time.
Here's another example. You want $1 million, but you want to also sleep in till noon. You want to have a great relationship, but you won't go outside. So we have one of those stories with ourselves. I wanted
he wanted commitment, but he wanted freedom.
Yeah.
So it was like a whole thing, and that's a whole nother story, and it'll lead us down another road.
But I like it. It's a great story.
It is a great story.
It is a great story. When you can have an and life, I want commitment and freedom, you start to, just by getting rid of the word but from your life and saying, I want this and I want this, your brain will start to fire in a way that'll give you the solution.
So there is 2 language hacks that you can take into your life right now. Release instead of lose. And if you start, every time you say but, you say, hang on, sorry, and I do it when I'm typing. I'll say but, and then I delete and put and.
Yeah, I
all
do that
all the time, because and creates possibility, but creates a block.
That's right.
Right? And so if you but then we have to unravel further into the belief, right? So if you have connected love with cookies and cakes and things like this, right? Because that's how mom, like when you're a good girl or a good boy, you got that. Then you have to realize that it wasn't the cake or the cookie. That's just the thing that cemented, that was the ritual or the habit that cemented it. It was the connection. So when you can unravel the fact that it wasn't the thing that you ate that created the love, it was the connection, you can then have the confident life of releasing weight and the confidence and the love, because it was the connection that you're seeking, not the cake, right? But so many of these types of beliefs are so ingrained, we don't even know that they're running the show.
We even have to be careful with our little guy. If he hurts himself, the tendency is to give him something that would soothe him. And we're really, I have a 20-year-old and we have a 2-year-old, really careful not to give him food or something sweet so that he's in the moment where he hurts himself, because there's other things I can give him that are not food to make him comfort. And I'm really thankfully I was trained by this amazing woman when my older son was 2. And she goes, don't just go make him feel better with giving him treats and food. He's gonna need that then to have comfort and be okay for the rest of his life. And a lot of you watching say, yeah, that happened to me when I was injured. They gave us lollipops or freezies or treats or whatever. Mm-hmm. And some of you are grandparents, and if a kid comes crying to you, you're like, what do I give them? Mm-hmm. And so
because we can't deal with people's emotions.
Yeah.
It's just let them experience it and hold them. Yeah.
That's super
Like,
powerful.
don't try and distract or give, this. And this sugar it's so inbuilt in, and it changes a child's brain. It's literally, we don't feed our child any sugar because we know so much about how the impacts of the longevity, and people think they're
We've
doing
seen so much
because they
from
think
the
they're
the women
doing a
we've worked with.
favor.
Yeah.
Just like this is the, so we want to tell you about toxic cycles, right? Because when you think you are rewarding yourself, for example, I'm gonna eat ice cream on the couch and watch Netflix, right? So that's a reward, right? And you've been trained that ice cream is a reward, or things like this are a reward. But when it's actually a toxin, it's toxic to your body, it doesn't support your goals, right? So that's called a toxic loop. Because when you continue to do something that's not good for you, but convince yourself it's a reward, which is why, parents giving kids sweets as a reward when they're, acting up or things like that, you're in a toxic cycle. So to break toxic cycles, you need to be in an environment. And our mind is an extraordinary, can I see this for a second? Our mind is an extraordinary thing, right? We can create sickness or we can create health, and it just depends on the environment that you're in to be able to do that. So I want to share a really cool little story of something I found out, like I watched today. There's this amazing study from Dr. Ellen Langer, right? She's this really cool psychologist that thinks in very unique ways, and she lives completely in the moment, which is unique, very unique thing. Paul Green also lives in completely in the moment, which I think is a rare trait, right? So she conducts all of these experiments all the time from a psychology basis, right? And in the 70s, she conducted this experiment where she put a bunch of people, like 70-year-olds, she said, and back then at the time when you're 70, it was more like you're 100 now, like times were different, people didn't live as long back then. But they put these 70-year-olds in a resort, but they created everything in that resort to be exactly like it would have been when these people were 20. So the shows that were playing, the music that was playing, the environment that was there, so they completely...
The furniture.
Yeah, all of it. Completely placed them in this environment for 1 week, right? And they got to live as if they were 20 again, right? And then she did the same test with everyone in that time, but she had them reflect on them 20s rather than living as they would when they were 20. Now the group that lived as if they were 20, just got to be in a resort of their 20s for that week, they went and they tested all their vitals, blood, all sorts of things. When they came out of that 1 week, their eyesight was better, their hearing was better, their blood pressure was better, they had reversed age, their skin got tighter, they got, all of these biometrics that seem impossible at all to happened in 1 week just by placing them in that environment. And so when you are in an environment that supports your health and well-being rather than toxic cycles, things become easy. Your health just blossoms and blooms because that's the environment that you're in and you've created. So how do we get to these environments when we live in a world that's full of doom and gloom and news and terror and war and and gossip and nastiness, and there's a lot of this that we could focus on, right? It's easy to go down that train, just as like when you can't peel your eyes away from a car crash. That's where we're geared towards that. So how do we shift to being part in the world where that we're bringing to our reticular activated system, which is basically what we focus on grows, right? How do we bring that to the forefront? Now there's plenty of ways. Priming, if you look at any of our work, there's plenty of ways in which we put priming forward. Breath work, morning practices, rituals, all of these things start shifting your life from being in reaction and fear to a place where you are priming and creating what's possible. When you start looking at gratitude, when you do a gratitude practice every day, being grateful and loving to the body that you're in, because it does all these things we just take for granted until we get sick or we hurt ourselves and suddenly we can't use it. We're like lamenting that. But no, instead be grateful for what these bodies do for us on a day. Our heart just beats. We don't ask it to. It just does it. Right? So when you can bring gratitude into your life and start like loving yourself exactly where you're at, knowing that we can always improve and change and shift and move, but loving exactly where you're at to start with, that's the beginning of when things can start to shift. So that's what you can generate on your own today. So we've got a couple of language things and rituals and practices in which you can start shifting your life for the better, because you have to get your mind and body all as one, right? So there are a couple of things you can take into your life. Or you need to be in communities that uplift and uphold the values that you care about. You need to stop searching for beliefs that you've always had and start stepping into beliefs that could be, that's something that you aspire to, something that lights you up, something that's exciting, and looking at, hey, is this true? Is this belief that's in my space completely? And just get curious. Have a childlike wonder for the mind and get curious. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people try to do things a few times and they give up, and you try and you try doing the same thing and you give up because you fail. And what happens is we give up so quickly when it's taken 50, 60, some of you 70 years to get here. There's this, it does require a little bit of belief and a little bit of patience to like go, okay, I had these habits for decades. It's not going to necessarily change in like 5 minutes. And it does, that's why what we offer, we do have a flagship program that's a year-long journey, and it's a year of immersion. Mm-hmm. And to completely, Kate and I do, that's a part of the reason that we wanted to talk to you, is we also want to share with you this journey that Kate and I have that we're really passionate about. It's called the Alchemy Method. And every week Kate and I go live and we coach. Mm-hmm. And it's a year of immersion and a total blueprint that you can join and you can enjoy for the year. And spending a year with us, what we're promising is that you will add 10 to 20 years of health span at the end of your life. And that's learning these things that will absolutely shift the direction you were headed in your life. And if you want to know where you're going to be with your health, just look at what you've done in the last year or 5 years. And that's where you're going to be. Unless you do make a dramatic change, you're going to end up, you're just going to keep doing what you've always been doing.
And some of you, it's taken 10, 20, 30 years to get to this point. And when you try something for a week or a few days and say, oh, it didn't work. It's like, well, hang on. How long did it take you to get here? And you think you can just turn it around and trying something for 3 days or a week, or if you're really dedicated, a month. It's like things take time. Health is a totally glorious, wonderful journey. And, all of the, doing things super fast it's like it happens in its own time. Yeah. Right? And sometimes you need to stay in the environment where you can be supported in that, because especially with weight, right? We all know there's a point and we plateau, and then we might go up a few and then we get discouraged, but then it suddenly drops a lot. Weight in itself is its own thing, but weight is usually connected to so many other health things. Yeah. It is an anchor that holds you back from so many things that you can have in your life. And it stops you from being fully self-expressed. It stops you from being confident. It stops you from having the vitality and the energy that you want to do all the things you want in life. And it just shouldn't do that, But there's a way to love exactly where you are and to trust the process of if I take these tiny steps daily, and every choice I make a new choice that's going to support my overall goal, not just be a victim to my cravings or my nurturings or my beliefs, like my thoughts that this thing is love, when actually it creates self-loathing, or it creates issues, or it creates health problems, right? So when you can get connected to it, is it a full integrated experience? Being healthy or having a life that supports your body and what you want is actually very easy. It's just little steps, one at a time. And there's some people on here that have experienced that with us, that they had big issues, couldn't even walk to the mailbox, right? And then in a space of a few months, walking 6 miles a day, right? Just like these things that feel impossible with belief structures can completely shift in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
And all it is being in that environment, just like mother lifting a car. The impossible can be completely possible. No matter what some doctor has said, no matter what you believe, you can create total health and well-being and vitality and release all the way. Releasing weight's the easy part. I know you all feel like it's hard, right? It's not. It's just like, if there's been a problem for you in the past, you haven't looked at what the root cause was that triggered the whole response in the first place. And when you look at that and look at it in a safe place, not a scary place, then it suddenly becomes easy.
And during our year journey, we get into root causes. We actually have 2 blood tests that you do throughout the year, and a couple detoxes, and some markers along the way, as well as our community and a cutting edge program that you get to journey through. So we, when Kate started this company, like before COVID, there was a lot going on in the world, and there was, even just like now, a lot of divisiveness. One side, nobody really listening to each other, and Kate created the Freedom Alchemist, and we did throughout the last 6 years, we've worked with over 1,000 women, and really hearing what women are dealing with, and some men too. We have like mostly women and a Navy SEAL, and we have Terry here too, and so it's this journey of meeting a lot of these women and a couple men throughout this. Is a lot of people have never taken the time to take care of themselves. They're so good at taking care of, making sure everyone else is okay, but they've neglected taking care of their body and even their spirit. They might, there's almost no practice of, or no ritual of nurturing oneself, which is such a big piece to really enjoying your life. And so we have a lot of martyrs, Marthas, my mom would call. Whenever I would serve food, my mom's like, "You're such a Martha." I'm like, "What, Mom? I love serving food. Martha was a victim. Martha was the one that was bad. Like she was the one that complained about Mary, and Mom would call me a Martha. I'm like, "Mom, no." But many of you have experienced that feeling of like when you're not appreciated, then you shut down or you turn it off and you become a victim. And so, working with these women now in this year-long program, it's a much more of a full immersion where we meet every week and we dive deep into these issues, and every week people get to check in with us so we can keep them accountable to their promises and to what they want to create and actually design their life, rather than just like wake up one day at 70 and be like, holy smokes, well what's all this crap in my house that I bought and don't need? And like just to fill that hole that sometimes it's like a really big hole for people that they replace with food usually.
Food or things,
And so in case you can't tell, we're passionate about this. Kate's master's in NLP really helps people identify some of these sabotages, which it's really exciting work.
Yeah, and that's where we differ a little bit. And so what we wanted to do as we're wrapping up, we wanted you guys to write what you believe is in your way, right? What's in your way of having that body that you want, or having the confidence, like what do you truly believe is in your way? And while you guys are writing, And you can think about it. You can write and think about it while you're writing. Yeah, what do you tell about your dad?
Yeah. Well, talk about a why. So when I was, I guess, 20 years old, my dad's a pilot. There's a bunch of pilots in my family. I think 13 or so, or 14. And my dad was a welder, and I was always in sports and then fashion and then acting. And I was like, how do I connect to my dad, who's like an oil guy? And, you know, I was living in liberal cities, and my dad was super conservative. So I decided that I was going to get my pilot's license so that I could, so I could connect. And my dad and I would have what my dad and my brother had. My brother also welded a little bit, and we spent this time. They actually had a really good connection because they both welded and knew what that was like. And so I got my pilot's license, and the only reason, like, I don't have a bug, I don't like have to go up there and fly, was to connect with my dad, who I lost 10 years ago to ALS, Lou Gehrig's, which got me on this path of understanding what we're working on here is some of these chronic illness. But the why that I had was just to have something with my dad to connect with. And I'll never forget when I was getting my instrument rating, the instructor, I touched his leg. Just like every time I would land, my dad would like slap my leg, and I'd slap his leg, and I didn't realize I was doing it. It was like subconscious. I would grab my instructor's leg, and he thought I was coming onto him. And I was like, no. The way that my dad and I flew as like from really young. Whenever I made a good landing, my dad would like pat my leg, and oh my gosh, he didn't tell me until like 3 months into training that I was touching his leg. Anyway. My wife.
That's a subconscious belief structure.
My dad and I were
so
very
ingrained that he didn't even know that he was doing it.
It wasn't like I wasn't grabbing. I was just like, yeah. And it's like, okay. I was excited about his landing. Anyway, my why was just to connect with my dad.
Yeah, and then your why was to save your dad. That's what really got Paul into all of this. When his father got Lou Gehrig's, he went on the whole journey of how to save him. And that's when Paul went deep into all of this, and that's where he brings his wealth of knowledge, and that started this journey of just diving into all the ways in which and how he could have saved his dad. And so we go into those sorts of things, because there's things you can do while you're living to really negate these things that can create big issues like Lou Gehrig's, like cancer, like dementia. All of these things are manageable if you can understand toxic loads. So that's another thing you'll understand working with us as well. Okay, so going into what we think gets in our way, myself and bad habits. I'm in my own way. Low self-esteem, stress eating, my inability to make myself a priority. Yes, myself, guilt in many areas of my life. Oh, if I could delete everyone's guilt, I would. Doesn't serve any purpose. Own it, acknowledge it. Do what you can to deal with it. But guilt. If I could have a superpower, that's what I would do for people. My age, metabolism, I can't eat as much as I used to, and I still gain weight. I am very stubborn when I put my mind to it. It's mind over matter. When I'm stressed, I don't eat. I'm in my own way. Emotional, mental, both. There's so many things in my way. Time management, need to meal prep better, take the time to plan, buy food, prepare, stay on the plan. I do so much to help and take care of my mom and take care of myself as I should. Okay, having to release the idea that releasing weight will not change the person I was in high school. Woo. So many juicy things there, right? But the overall theme is us, right? We get in our own way, and often we don't know why. Or we maybe know why, and we're deliberately sabotaging and blowing up our possibility because we're in our own way. But often what we need is a mirror or a new perspective or something to help us see beyond what we know to be true, right? It's actually very simple. And it's not always, it's you know, these things we can't do by ourselves. So you either need to have really awesome friends that you talk about these things with,
Yeah.
or amazing communities, or start, you know, one of the girls we were coaching just before this, and she wants to start walking marathons, so she's joining groups that do that. And like, that's putting yourself in an environment to shift and to change what you believe is possible for yourself.
Yeah.
So we also have an extraordinary team of people that are ready to actually talk to you and hear what you're dealing with, and hear if there's some way in which we can help you, or they can just, you know, they're amazing, amazing people, and they've been trained by us. So if there's something that they can do to help you, they will absolutely do it. And if there's something that we can do to help you, they will tell you about that. So in order to get on the call, just sometimes all it is just talking and sharing what we're dealing with can start moving. I always say, if we can name it, we can move it, right? When we're guilt, shame, holding it in, or trying to be perfect, we can't move anything. But if we can name it,
Yeah.
we can move it. So sometimes just talking to someone really candidly that's there to listen can be the catalyst that can shift everything for you.
Yeah.
So if you want to get on a call and speak to one of our amazing team, Ruth
link-
has put a link there.
Yeah, the link doesn't work because I have 125 people here between X and these others. So if you just comment on this, the word freedom,
Oh, well, that's in social. On
the Zoom,
Zoom,
there's a link in the chat.
link will work.
Yeah.
Yes. So everyone on Zoom that registered, go for that link and you can register and book a call.
And if you're watching here on X or Facebook or Twitter, any of these, X is Twitter, you can just comment the word freedom or DM me if you really want to make sure we get it. DM on Instagram is a good place, but on Facebook we should be able to get it as well. You can also go to freedom-alchemist.com and you can go a little deeper into our passion and our love for why we do this.
And then you can book in there's a place to book in a call there on the Alchemy Method, and that will lead you to one of our amazing teams, so you can talk to them as well. Also on the Freedom Alchemist socials, there's a way to go into the link tree, and you can click on links in there that will lead you to a call.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of ways to do it. So yeah, just talking can shift this monumentally. Just actually saying things differently. Like, I want you to take away the 3 things that I told you with how we shift our language and what spaces we're in and who we're talking to and what we're talking about, right? And you can be the catalyst to shift your entire friend group to not gossiping and talking about things like goals and dreams and aspirations. You can be that person. Takes something, but you can do it. So
And powerfully too, you could be the person in your family to end the family lineage of chronic illness. You know, you can really discover something that you can teach your parents, your children, your cousins, and really be the change for your entire family.
mm-hmm.
And so what we really are excited about is spending a complete year with someone. And you know, if you can get fit and stay fit in a year, you will be for a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
It is that type of immersion that
it's
really
learning
makes,
your blueprint.
Yeah,
Your
it's
bio-individual blueprint.
everyone's a little different,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone has different levers. Some people it's purely emotional and the weight drops off. Some it's they just got to stop eating so many Cheetos or ice creams. But for a lot of people, you know, it's being a little bit kinder and more nurturing to themselves.
It's a lot of that.
Going for a walk,
Mm-hmm.
getting good water, getting some good sleep. And really, it's quite simple, but it's doing these things consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, and you know yourselves, if you haven't been consistent in your past, you might need coaches.
Yeah.
And that's what we do, and that's what we
Mm-hmm.
love to do. And not just us, but there's a whole community, and everyone in the community is going to make sure every week you're doing what you said you would do, so that at the end of the year you are at your goal and what you bet, and not just by chance, by design.
And we're really committed. Like, we thrive off the wins that our clients get.
She thrives
Like,
off the challenges. Kate's like, give me your dirty
give me your
stuff.
breakdowns.
And
I want to know all your stuff.
I like the breakthroughs. She likes the challenges.
But, you know, we thrive off like seeing a life transformed.
Yeah.
Like that is just like nothing could be more extraordinary. And like even all the people that get to witness these lives, like it's so addictive to be in a community, in a group where you're watching people like get their life in a way they've never gotten it, and think that they come in for weight loss, right, release, right, but then their whole world opens up, and all of these, and they glow, they look different, they suddenly like attracting totally new people, they're attracting a whole new career, they're attracting new love. All sorts of things happen when you start taking care of yourself. And this isn't a selfish thing, it's a beautiful thing. When you fill your cup, you love from your overflow. You don't empty the cup and try and give people the dregs.
She's right.
You fill it, and then you are beaming with love. And there's so much for everyone. And that's when you become magnetic. And like, who doesn't love magnetic people, right? And who doesn't want to be magnetic? So,
well, that's it for us. Thank
that's
you.
it.
Thank you for your time. And just remember, it's not so much the hows, it's the why. If you want to make a big change, just connect deeply to your why, and that'll keep you in the game. Rather, people get lost in the hows. You can just Google that, figure a bunch of hows. But if you don't have a why, the chances of sticking through it are very small.
Yeah.
So thanks for your time.
Yes.
And anything else you want to say?
No, just on that. Just get connected to, it's not a number. It's get connected to the emotion of what that will give you. And then you have to see if it's like conflicting with a belief.
Yeah.
So that you don't have an but life, you get an and life.
That's
right? So all these juicy fun things.
And thank you guys for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you shared really intimate and vulnerable stuff, so thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you enjoyed this, just share it with somebody else.
And come and work with us.
Come
We're
work with
really
us.
fun all the time. we make weight release and all sorts of things very fun and not significant, right? The big things that feels like mountains become little molehills when you can share and be in community that holds a container for you.
Yeah.
It's a safe space.
Thank you all.
Yeah. All right, guys. Mwah. Big love. Have an extraordinary night. And I know it's really late for every of you on the East Coast, so go to bed. And big love, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.